Hey team, it is once again Sunday and time to dive into this week's ETF and max list review. Opposite sides of the same coin, and both of them help us make coin or save coin. We start off alphabetical. This list is always alphabetical. This is ARK Innovation. ARKK is the ticker symbol. You can always see it up here. All right. And you can see it's basing right here nicely. Something to maybe watch going forwards, ARKK. Or you could punch up the stock and see if there are leading stocks. They'll look good right now. But you can see there's clean tops here, and I'll draw this to help you. Simple flat tops. There we go. Let's move on to the next one. Here we go. ARK Innovation, Next Generation. This one doesn't look too bad either. This one's got a slightly cleaner top there, as you can see. So what will we lean on? ARKK. Let's move on. Biotech, stay away. There's nothing here. It's below the falling 50-day. I said this at IBD meetups for years. The air is better above a rising 50-day, okay? There's nothing good here. Just leave it alone. That's simple. Energy kind of grinding up here, but you can see it fell on pretty heavy volume here on that bar. No real clean entry at this point in time, so be cautious with it. Maybe later in the week there will be. Dow Jones Internet's hanging in. What does this tell us? Oh, there's some strength in this group. Okay, is there a perfect entry on this right now? Not really. I mean, you could take out, you've got a little pennant right here, and there was good volume on it coming into it there. But super flat base? No. But it does tell us something important. What's the trend? The trend is up. So you want to look into some internet stocks. That's simple. That's what we do at Mission Winner. Simplify. By the way, if you notice, we have nothing fancy on these charts. There's a tremendous amount of information and power in knowing how to read the charts. And we key on price and volume backed with moving averages. There you go. Let's move on. Here we go. IBD 50's hanging in. That's a nice proxy for leadership. Trending up. Looking at some IBD 50 stocks, but also it's telling us there's leadership in growth. I like that. Gold miners. That's the name right there, by the way. It's below the falling 50-day. There's no real power there. Stay away from gold miners. Done. Gold, a little sloppy here. I mean, look at that big gap down. Stay away from gold. Done. That's simple. Cybersecurity's basing here needs to show us a little bit more power here. There was some selling in this right here. So this needs to lift up, okay, with volume. But it is a little sloppy, so be a little cautious with that. By the way, you look at the weekly, all right, you know, oh, it goes up, they take it down. It gaps up, they take it down. Just be a little cautious with that. Let's move on in that group, okay? Biotechnology is lagging, leave it alone. It's below the falling 50-day, all right? And you can say, well, maybe it's going to push through. Folks, this thing used a lot of energy just to get up to the 50-day. A lot of buying power was expended. So be cautious with that at this point in time. Not a leadership group at this point in time. Online retail. Now, that one doesn't look too bad, does it? Look at that. Forming a short flat base here. Gosh, let me think here. Maybe y'all could help me. What's an online retail stock? Gosh, what would that be? Yeah. Oh, it's that little company, Amazon. There we go. I'm not saying buy it, but there's power in the group and there's power in the stock. So watch this and see what happens. I buy. There's other online retail stocks too that you might want to look into. There's strength in the group. There you go. Good to know. Expanded software technology. Yeah, it's trending up. Got a little sloppy here. Selling volume here and here. The trend is up, but there is some selling going on, so be just a little cautious, and you can see it on the weekly too. All right, there you go. Good information to know. Medicine's trending up nicely. It's a little slower, but it does tell you something. Maybe there's opportunity in U.S. medicine. IHI. Continue onwards. Here we go. Mid-cap. Trending up nicely on the weekly. Looking at some mid-cap stocks. Yeah, we own some mid-cap stocks. It's that simple. Aerospace and defense, it got hit here pretty hard, okay? And you can see it on the weekly chart. Be a little cautious with that group at this point in time. Continue onwards. U.S. home construction. The only negative, it's kind of loose. There's some travel range. Look at it, gaps, drops down hard, gaps down hard, reverses up, gaps up. It's loose. So just be a little careful with home construction, okay? It is trending up. It is trending up, but there's some gaps in the charts, so be a little cautious with that. Continue onwards, IBUY, S&P 500 growth doesn't look too bad. Now you can say, I don't really see a clean entry in this. That's okay. What else does it tell you? Hey, S&P 500 growth on the weekly and the daily is trending up. Maybe I should look into some S&P 500 growth stocks. Right there, folks, you now know more than most people. Things to look for, most investors. Let's continue onwards. IWM, small caps, there's strength in small caps. And there has been. Look into small cap stocks. Real estate's picking up a little bit. Couple of price gaps up, that's good. There's no real clean entry on it here, okay? Except, this is the daily chart. There you go. There's a base there. Now, the one negative at this point, it fell on fairly heavy volume. So it would be nice maybe if it forms a handle, maybe a cup and a handle. We'll see if it does. I don't know if it will, but it's something to watch. Let's continue onwards. Transportation steadily trending up. Looking at some transport stocks, not bad. Airlines, doesn't look too bad, forming a cup and a handle right here. There you go. The trend is up. Good. That's nice to know. Potential opportunity. Regional banks don't act too bad. Look into them. Okay. Insurance doesn't look too bad. Look into some of that. Regional banks, we looked at the big banks and the regional banks. Need to pause here and share something. Please don't think like, oh, he's raging bull, let's go crazy. No, I'm just pointing out there's strength in many areas of the market. Opportunity. Capitalize on that. That's all. High emotions, this is a fact, and one of my degrees is in psychology, folks. High emotions and good decision-making, even outside the realm of stocks, in all realms of life, telling us, be cautious there. Be careful if it's high emotion stuff, right? That'll help you in life. Mid-cap, trending up, looks fine, all right? And this is why we look at both weekly and the daily. Weekly's trending up, daily's trending up, but note on the daily, there's some selling, a little bit of selling coming in here. So it's telling you, be a little cautious with mid-cap. Just be aware of what's going on. Refresh that. There we go. Inside bar. Continue onwards. Oil services. It's all right on the daily. But then you look at the weekly. This is why we do this. You go, there ain't much power in the weekly there, Pat. You know what I say? I think you're right. We got to be careful with oil services. Move on. Pharmaceuticals, they need drugs. There's nothing good there. Leave it alone. QLD doesn't look too bad. Look at that. Now, that's something to maybe look into. All right? But it tells you something else. QLD is the NASDAQ 100, those big stocks, and a lot of them are MAXLIST stocks. A little bit of power coming in right in here. Closed decent on the weekly. Maybe looking at some big NASDAQ stocks. There we go. And it's easy. You can say, God, how am I going to do this? This is a NASDAQ 100. Folks, this is a great tactic. Take the NASDAQ 100, all the stocks, and sort it by percent off high. And look at stocks that are within 15% or 20% of 52-week highs. You'll instantly find strength. That's a great tactic, okay? I've been doing this a long time, so we got tricks and I hate to use the word tricks. We have tricks and tactics sounds more professional. We have tactics to find strength. How about that? That's pretty good, isn't it? Let's move on. QQQ, like QLD, doesn't look too bad. NASDAQ 100. Retail, look at that kind of grinding up. It's been strong for a while. It's told you. Hey, maybe look into some retail stocks. Isn't that neat? Back here. There you go. Now, it's a little extended, so you got to be cautious. But what's the trend on it? The trend is up. Just get in line with it. That's all. Trends pay more. Folks, this is a fact. I've been doing this since 1986. Trends pay more than all the decision-making you'll make. Okay? Fact. There you go. Ride trends. Make it easier on yourself. You'll live longer. Cloud computing doesn't look too bad. Trending up. A little choppy here on the weekly. But the trend is up. Looking at some cloud computing. Silver. Just be on that last one, you can say, God, man, it's like you love everything. They're all great. No, they're not. I showed you some that don't look so good. And then I hit this one and say, yeah, here's one I don't think you want to be involved with. Okay? There's nothing good with silver. You know what it is, folks? It's tarnished. I'm sorry. I had to do it. My kids would just shake their heads. Heck, my grandkids would shake their heads. Anyway, there you go. We'll leave that alone for right now. Steel. Doesn't look too bad, but it fell on fairly heavy volume. And you can see that on the down volume bars here on the weekly. And it's sloppy. I mean, look at the gaps. When you see a lot of price gaps, be careful with that. Price gaps, again, indicate high investor emotions. Let's rock and roll. Semiconductors, they're not doing so good right now, okay? Nothing really good right there. So just at this point in time, leave them alone, okay? Oh, here you go, dead humor. And sometimes those semiconductors, man, they're a chip off the old block. Okay, don't hang up on me, I'm sorry. But at this point in time, not a lot of leadership there, be cautious. Let's move on. Same thing's true with the leveraged one, leave it alone. Spiders doesn't look too bad. Look at the weekly, trending up. Look at the daily. And this is why we're invested in stocks. It's told us there's strength here. We just get in line with it. Simple. Same thing's true with SSO. Is there a clean entry on SSO? Just want to show this real quick to help you. There were some tops across here. See right there? And you can say, yeah, but Pat, man, there wasn't much volume on that bar. Here's a good lesson for everybody. And I'm sure you know this, but I don't leave any stone unturned. You got to remember, I'm trying to educate. This was lifted up just before a holiday. So it just tells you to be careful. There we go. Now it looks a little better. We're coming out of the holiday weekend, or holiday week, we could call it too. Solar. It's in a downtrend on the weekly. It's in a downtrend on the daily. Stay away from solar stocks. That's it. By the way, folks, what I just shared with you, you can reach that conclusion in 1 second. You don't need somebody to tell you. That's why we do this, is to educate, show what to look for. That's knowledge power for you, to help you make better decisions. That's what our goal is. Help you make money, show you how. Some small cap, kind of grinding up here a little bit. It's trending. A little loose, though. You can see it's a little loose on the daily, and that's a pretty dang ugly tail bar on the weekly. So something to watch. Doesn't look bad, but just don't get sloppy there. Oil, leave it alone. I mean, look at the weekly, look at the daily. There's nothing there. And oh, here's a great lesson for everybody. Oh boy, it's going, it's going. Look at that. There's a volume pickup, man. This is it. Boom, they slam it right back down on heavier volume than it went up on. Look, the selling volume's heavier than the buying volume. Tells you, hey, be careful with this group. At this point, someday it'll be great again, okay? But at this moment, it's not. Very important. Emission winners, and I taught this at IBD meetups too. It's great to know what to look for potential buying, and it's also almost as powerful as knowing things to avoid. And you know what that does? It narrows down our focus. I would rather know, and this is serious, folks, I would rather know 30 or 20 stocks really well than know 100 stocks just kind of so-so. I want to find the best of the best and focus on those. It will make your life much better, folks. That's a fact. Let's move on. Aerospace and defense, kind of grinding up. Doesn't look too bad. There's no real clean entry on it, but it does say there's been strength in the group for a while. Aerospace and defense. You could punch up XAR and find out what their top 10 holdings are. Let's move on. Biotechnology is kind of grinding up, but look at the weekly. Look at that selling volume. Look at the daily. Look at that drop. Be a little cautious with that, okay? There's better places to go. You know, folks, we have a limited amount of money. We have a limited amount of time. These are two very, very valuable assets. And use both of them wisely. That's some advice for you, some input. Home builders doesn't look too bad. Basing up here. Maybe take out these tops. You can see it on the daily. I'll draw this to help you. And you can see it on the weekly too. It's the same line. I'll draw it to help you. This is why I love looking at both weekly and daily. There it is. Just take that out with volume. Take out these tops. But it also tells you something else. Maybe looking at some home building stocks. Also, this is a valuable lesson. Don't just say, oh, it's a green bar on volume. Know where it closed on the bar. See the little hash mark to the right? Here's where it opened on the left. Here's where it closed. It closed in the top third of its range on the daily chart. That shows buying. Good buying. And they didn't sell it into that. They held on to it. That's good to know. clean tops there. Now, please, and I'm not being the raging bull to say buy this. I'm just saying it's showing some strength. It's something to watch going forward. There we go. Continue onwards. Materials. You use, materials to build houses, but there ain't a lot of power there. I'd kind of leave it alone, to tell you the truth. Communications is hanging in okay. That doesn't look too bad. Maybe there's some opportunity there, trending up nicely. Good to see. Energy was going up, and they took it down fairly hard earlier in the week. That's okay. It's trending up, but just be a little cautious with it, okay? Financials look fine. Look at that. By the way, great lesson for everybody. Financials. When you see financials acting good, that's normally a good sign for the markets, all right? So it looks fine. Is there a buy spot here? Not right now, but it's acting okay. Industrials are acting okay. Technology, it's a little sloppier, tells you to be a little cautious. This is the daily, but then you look at the weekly and you go, hey man, there's a cup and a handle here. Yeah. And if it takes that out, I think it could be really good. By the way, I said if. I didn't say, oh, it's going to take it out. Let the chart tell you what to do. We don't impose our will on them. There you go. Let's move on. Here we go. Consumer staples picking up a little bit. Doesn't look too bad on the weekly or the daily. Look into that. Utilities picking up. That doesn't look too bad. It's a little slower and ponderous, but this tells us something. Interest rates aren't bad. They're not going up hard, which has a negative impact on utility stocks. And we go to healthcare. Stay away from healthcare. There you go. Look at the weekly and the daily. There's nothing there. They need medicine is what they need. Here we go. Consumer discretionary doesn't look too bad. And it hasn't looked bad for a while. That's why we do this, folks. Way back here, you come in and look at this and say, it's acting okay. Oh boy, look at that. The volume was just okay. Maybe I need to look into some consumer discretionary stocks. And you could punch up XLY and find out their top 10 holdings. And I bet money you'll find something. You could do it right now this weekend. I bet you money you could find something and say, dang, nabbit, Pat's right. That back here. What's the date on this? The date on this is November 5th. And I bet you money you'd find something that goes, God, that sucker was base and it made a good move. And there it is. There it goes in the ETF, but probably most likely other stocks too in that group. Metals and mining, a little choppier up here, but it's hanging in okay. Oil and gas is hanging in okay. Retailing's hanging in okay. Good to see. Software is really good. Look at that.
Okay. Before Pat gets into the max list, let me tell you all about our Cyber Week deal. For the entire week, you can sign up for our monthly membership and get $20 off the first month. Those of you that want even a bigger saving can join our annual membership and get an extra $100 on normal discounted yearly price. And we do have our 5-year university plan, which for this week, you get an additional $1,340 off. That comes out to be only $83 a month. So if you're ready to join our VIP team, head over to missionwinners.com and sign up today. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. Let's hand it back over to Pat for the max list stocks.
So here's Apple. Apple's got a nice long base here. You can say, oh, that looks pretty good on the daily. This is, again, the perfect lesson of why I set it up with weekly on the left. This is the weekly chart. You can see the grid right there. And this is the daily, side by side. You look at this and it's forming a decent sized cup. But then you look here at the weekly and go, that baby's forming a great big cup with handle. We like that. Now, that's no guarantee it's going to work. Please, we don't do that. But we do know this from a statistical perspective. And I taught statistics on advanced statistics on the university level in Oregon and Illinois. And I'll share this with you. We use that as our edge, things to look for, to make good decisions. This works more times than not. That's our edge. And here's the beautiful part. If it doesn't, you can sell for a very small loss. So there it is. Nice long weekly cup and a handle. And again, on this, you say, oh, I just see a little cup. Here's the weekly. There we go. Let's move on. Amazon. Now take a look at what this did. Looks decent on the weekly. Look what it did on the daily. Ran up, pulled back, and starts to pick up again. You can say, there's not much volume on that bar. Folks, remember this. It's just before a holiday weekend. Volume drops off. So what do we want to see? Well, you can't catch me in a lie. A, we already own it. B, if this starts to take out the highs of this bar, we'll buy more. And yes, I already have price alerts set right there. So that's something to watch on Amazon. Okay? Continue onwards. Baba, this is what I love to do. I used to do this at the IBD meetups. Okay. Oh, that's kind of going sideways. Maybe there's a candidate there. Gosh, what do y'all think about that? No. And here's the important point. Buy strength. Don't key on weakness, key on strength. There ain't no strength there, folks. Leave it alone. BIDU, there's no strength there. Leave it alone. Google, starting to base here a little bit, okay? The negative is it fell on heavy volume here. You see that? Heavy selling volume. But if you take a close look, it closed just a little bit below its midpoint. It's basing here, and also important, we mix the various variables together in observations and mission winners. It's got support on the 50-day right here now, folks. Maybe it's going to lift off the 50-day. What will we need to see? We'll need to see a good market. We'll need to see this lift off with good price action backed by volume. There you go. And until that happens, leave it alone. You can't catch me in a lie, by the way. I already got the price alert set. Look, that little hash mark. There you go. On Google. Go small because it's not a really clean and simple base break, okay? Goldman Sachs doesn't look too bad. Basing here, across this line. Ready to maybe buy more or make it a new buy, taking out Friday's highs. Something to watch on Goldman Sachs. MasterCard. This has formed a great, cup right here, okay? This is the daily chart. Needs to take out these tops. Now, here's the one kicker. It's going to be a little bit extended. It made a pretty quick move here just to get up to this pivot. I'm going to draw the line to help you. There you go. Needs to take out that line. Needs to take it out with volume. There we go. But note, it took a lot of power just to get up to that line. It expended a lot of buying energy. So it would be nice if it based a little longer and then took off. Is it going to? I don't know. But anyway, that's what we look for. Let's continue onwards. Nobody knows the future. We just get in line. This is a great quote. When we accept the fact that we don't know the future, we see the future more clearly. We let the price and volume action guide us and tell us what to do. Meta's basing down here. There's a longer base here on the daily, and you can see it on the weekly. I'll draw this to help you. There you go. Just needs to take that top out, okay? It's got to move up quite a bit to get there. Now, here's another setup for you. Could this bounce off the 50-day? That's the green line, the 50-day simple. Yes, it could. What would be the setup? It takes out the highs here on this bar, and it does it on heavy volume. And it's going to need that, folks. All right? And if it doesn't happen, leave it alone. Also, and again, I'm not being negative. I like to point out the relevant data. Teach these things. Right here, fell on pretty heavy volume, folks, on the weekly. Serious selling. Fell here on a pickup in volume. It tells us there's sellers there. And you can see it. Look, it runs up and drops off. It runs up to the line and drops off. It runs up to the line and drops off. And then it does it again here. I'm not doing that to be obnoxious. I'm trying to point out, hey, this is stuff to look for. What does that tell you? I guess there's some sellers out there. Yeah, it's shown in the chart. Again, simplicity is a good thing. There we go. And we try to teach this constantly at Mission Winners. Let's move on, shall we? Here we go. Microsoft, kind of lower level down here, and I'll draw this to help you. I'll get rid of this one. Bear with me. Oh, and another key point here. Hold on. Let me do this for you. You got some tops across there. Just needs to take that out with volume. There's not a lot of power here. You look at the weekly. Look at this. Oh, there's heavy selling on that bar. Look at the volume. Oh, there's heavy selling on that bar. A little choppy here. Just says be a little cautious with it. It's not a clean and simple, tight base up. It's loose. Loose charts indicate something. They tell us something. Loose charts indicate high investor emotion. Loose charts indicate lack of conviction with sticking with it. Oh, this baby's going. This baby's going. Ooh, I better be a little careful. Whoa, man. Oh, it's going. This is it. This is good. Oh, it started around. Ooh, got to watch it. Be careful with that. Tight charts, simple charts indicate no or low investor emotions, and that leads to better decision making. Something to remember. Continue onwards. Netflix. We own Netflix down here. See that simple base? And the important lesson on this one, and I'm not bragging, I'm trying to point out, this is a fact. Trends pay more than all the decisions you'll make. All that in and out decision stuff, ride the dang trend, folks. Let it work, okay? There's another important quote. You'll never go broke taking a profit. I'll say it again. Yes, you will. If your losses are bigger than your profits, you're going to go broke. And that's why it's important to ride trends. We own this, okay? And I will tell you something, folks. This is the daily chart, by the way. I guarantee there's people that bought this here and go, that's pretty good. Oh man, look at this. God, this is great. Look at that. I'm up, what? I bought that stock for $7.65. That son of a gun's trading near 8. You know, what is the high on this bar? $7.98. That's good money. I'm taking the gain, man. That's huge. Yeah, and so you sell it here. I'll say that you sell it for $7.98, okay, near the highs. $7.98. Man, I kicked butt on that, didn't I? Yes. Well, say you sold for $800. Oh, here it is near $900. Oh, let me see that. I don't even need a calculator. That's 100 points for doing nothing. Ride trends. That's the point here. Looks okay for us. We're still letting it work. Not a real clean safe entry for it. We'll watch it. If it starts to take out the top of this bar, we may add to it. We'll watch and see, okay? Not the safest entry at that time, just tell you. NVIDIA's a little sloppy here. This needs to bounce off the 50-day. Now, at Mission Winners, we always combine price and volume. What do you see here? Green bars and red bars. Well, there's some red selling bars. There's a green bar here, right? And this is a powerful lesson. Watch this. Remember this. Just because it's a green bar doesn't mean it's a good bar. Look at that bar. Oh, it's green on heavy volume. Look at where it opened. Look at where it ran up. Look at where it closed. It closed below where it opened. And what does that indicate? Selling, sellers. And then look what it does. And you're not forecasting. We let price and volume action tell us what to do. And that works. So what's going on with it now? Let's scrunch this up just a little bit now. Here we go. That needs to bounce off the 50-day, and it needs to do it with volume. And again, there was selling volume here. There was selling volume here. There was selling volume on this bar. Again, look where it opened and look where it closed. Folks, these are real-world lessons, okay? This will help you make better investing decisions, all right? And this isn't, oh, 2 + 2 = 5. No, this is simple math represented in the charts. 2 + 2 = 4. There you go. Let's move on. NVDA, a little sloppier, as you know, kind of related to NVIDIA. Okay, got to watch this, got to see some power in this. All right, what's it need to do? Take out the tops of these bars with volume, bouncing off the 50-day. There you go. And you look at the weekly, and there's some distribution. Let's move on. Don't want to talk too much here. Block. I still want to call this square because that's what it was forever for me. Anyway, it's basing right here. It's owned. You got upper alerts set and down alerts. If this starts to bounce off the ADMA, we'll buy more. This could be a new buy bouncing off the ADMA. But what do? It's an aggressive setup. It's not a long base breakout. How can you lessen risk? Buy less shares on block. Drop that alert just a bit, and I'll be ready for this for tomorrow. Here we go. Let's move it on the next couple of days. Excuse me. There's Tesla trying to bounce here off the ADMA, okay? And we own this from down lower, all right? Ridden it, basing here. A little choppy up here. We'll have to watch this. But what am I looking for? I'd like to see this bounce off, as I stated, the AEMA with volume. That's what we're looking for. Take out the highs here, and again, in a good market with volume. Now, this is a bounce setup. It is not a base breakout. It's less reliable. How can we lessen risk? If we buy less shares. There you go. TSLL, same situation. I like this one too, by the way, okay? I like this security, what this is. I like this stock. I'll use that word. I like this stock. So something to watch here. By the way, I already have price alert set. What's going to need? Good market and good volume. Oh, this is kind of a neat deal. Here's Tesla at 345. Here's TSLL at 21 bucks. You could buy that. There we go. I like that. Visa lifted up. Not a lot of volume. And this is an important lesson. Why wasn't there much volume here? Because it was a holiday. We were approaching a holiday. Volume drops off. So I've got an alert set. I'll drop it just a little bit. Just needs to take out these highs here, and it needs to do it with really good volume. All right, team, that's our weekly review. Hope it helps you get a clearer picture of where the market's headed and what stocks to keep an eye on. By the way, don't forget about our weekly top stocks to have on your watch list video coming out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're curious about what we covered last week, you can find the link to that video in the top right corner. Remember, these watch list videos are just a small taste of what our VIP members get with the daily key list videos on missionwinners.com. So if you're serious about finding those super performance stocks, consider joining us. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's market review? Do you have any questions or concerns? Feel free to drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And remember, stay sharp, keep learning, and keep finding those winners.